Our next presenter is Noam Gaster. Noam is a senior in dance, and his presentation is entitled Conversations about Expressive Arts Inclusion with Seattle-Based Humans. Welcome, Noam.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. So last fall, I had 11 extended conversations about expressive arts inclusivity with Seattle-based humans, of which there are a number present. And here they are. Thank you very much. So the reality is that this is kind of an emotionally loaded topic for me. So it's been really hard for me to wrap my mind and my heart and my body around how and what exactly I want to express about these conversations that I had. You see, originally I planned on doing research that could potentially lead to the creation of a performance group in Seattle that would be fully accessible to people with different types of disabilities. I'm really glad that I'm following Charlotte, because I feel like this question of self-acceptance really plays into this in a really exciting way. I think I was attracted to the idea of being part of an ensemble where I wouldn't have to worry about being too weird, or too depressed, or too confusing, or just not good enough. I think I was excited by the idea of performing with the group where I could be fully and completely myself. And now, just before I began my research, I found myself realizing that I was already participating in expressive arts communities that pretty much allowed me to be fully and satisfyingly myself. There seems to be an ongoing process that I'm going through in these communities that I believe is helping me grow into myself and love myself and accept myself as I am. But as I started doing my research, something in me went haywire. I found it really hard to stay grounded with my plan. My anxiety about creating a product that I would be judged by, graded by, and my professional future career would be impacted by, along with the growing discomfort with some theoretical aspects of my initial vision, triggered a miasma. I was kind of paralyzed with indecision. After many hours of processing thoughts and feelings and some really wonderful conversations with my wonderfully patient and insightful mentor, Rachel Lincoln, I came up with a realizable goal that would help me stay true to the spirit of the research. I would conduct a total of 11 extended conversations with Seattle-based humans about their experience with expressive arts inclusivity. Where in the worlds of dance, theater, music, and/or performance art did they feel included? Who else was included there? And perhaps most importantly, were there aspects of themselves that they had challenges including there or maybe anywhere? So from the 11 conversations, I created a website. The website includes pages about each interview, as well as pages about the history of the research, my methods, reflections, some other things I'll get to in a minute, a draft of potential resource lists. And if I could synthesize in 9 words what I came away from all of this with is that actual inclusion is possible when we cultivate actual relationships. So, in an effort to include more of myself right now, and to perhaps cultivate a more actual, in my mind, relationship with all of you, I'm going to express some non-normative aspects of myself in relation to the conversations that I had with 3 of my conversation partners in this research. First off, this is Vanessa DeWolf, artistic wrangler. This is a piece of art by E.T. Russian, a local, multiply disabled artist, performer, filmmaker, healthcare provider. They identify as genderqueer, gender variant, and have been involved in a lot of really amazing disability and justice performance. And quick plug, actually, before I forget it, they will be at a disability studies and culture symposium that's happening here in May. And I can give you a link to that later if you want to know. They wrote a book. They're pretty amazing human. Okay. My last dance offering to these conversations is one of my conversationalists who is a really old friend of mine. He's been kind of a lifeline for me for many years as a performance partner, as someone who I could get together and improvise with when I didn't feel like I had a lot of other outlets. And he's now in Berlin. He's kind of a wanderer. He's a dreamer, a little bit of a kind of Don Quixote. And he's always chasing after these windmills. He has lots of visions of social justice through embodiment, of having things like improv jams at City Hall, and to kind of bring together this creative embodied world with the political world, which there seems to be such a wall between. One of the things that you'll find on my website, and I do hope you go to it because there's so much information there that I can't cover now, obviously. There is a list of accessibility checklists. These are things to think about if you want to create an event that's truly accessible to people with different types of disabilities. There's one that I just want to draw out here. Has anyone here heard of multiple chemical sensitivity? I want to highlight this because this is a really huge thing that a lot of people don't know about. It's basically sensitivity to a lot of chemicals like perfumes, laundry detergent, dryer, those little flappy things you put in dryers. They prevent a lot of people from being part of public discourse. And so please let me know if you want more info about that. Here is the website. Please do look at it. And I'm going to leave us about 13 seconds here to have our little internal jam. Wherever you are in your seat, when I say go, I just want to reflect on how your personal research with these questions of inclusivity are going. Go. All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions?
You talked about performative communities that you were finding yourself in, has it?
Sure.
Maybe outside of dance training spaces?
Yeah, so great question. A huge performative community that's been really helpful for me has been the contact improv community. Although I've been in a very interesting journey there as well, where at times I've actually felt excluded. But I think overall, for me personally, Contact Jam is, and are there people here who don't know what contact improvisation is? That's a whole other question. But anyway, so contact improvisation jams, I find to be an amazing space where I don't have to filter myself and where I can really just be in my moment-to-moment expressive truth, where I don't really need to understand what I'm expressing with my body before I just allow it to be expressed. And it's also a place where, when I've been very alienated, where I've been able to receive a lot of human touch, which I think is an incredibly, powerful nourishment that, great question. Another one I would say, and feel free to raise your hand if you have another question. I'll just keep babbling. Until it's time to go. Another community that I have found a lot of acceptance and freedom in is a community that Vanessa DeWolf, who calls herself Artistic Wrangler. Anyone know Vanessa?
Yeah.
She's an amazing artistic wrangler. She creates a space called Studio Current. I can tell you more about that later if you want, which is an amazing, fertile growing bed for artists who maybe don't quite know what they're doing, or outside of the mainstream artistic tracks, and want to create work and want to get together with each other and learn together. Communities. So so this question, that I started with actually about disability arts community, I don't feel like I personally have really found that in Seattle. And it's a complicated search for a lot of reasons that I don't really have time to get into. I do feel like there are some amazing disability arts communities around, especially in the Bay Area. There's a group called Sins Invalid, who I highly recommend checking out. There's my favorite artist, Neil Marcus, is there right now. Patty Byrne, by the way, from Sins Invalid, will be at the Disability Symposium, which is coming up in May. Yeah.
Could you say something about what you were feeling or thinking when you did those improvisations?
Sure. I don't remember.
Either.
That's a great answer.
I could think about it. I can tell you what I remember about them. So I remember. Oh, wow. So I remember with Vanessa DeWolf, I had this little thing I did when I was rehearsing, where I just felt like she was kind of this beacon, and I don't know if I even got there. Because when I did Vanessa here, something kind of exploded out of me that I didn't expect, which probably had nothing to do with Vanessa, to be honest. it's kind of, I mean, and that's the weird thing about this whole thing about embodiment, is it's like, it's not something I can plan. It's almost like a lid that I have to open up, and I can have an idea of what's going to come out, but then I just open it up, and whatever comes out is about what's actually happening in the present moment, for better or worse. Yeah.
So then with that statement of opening the lid to embodiment,
Yeah.
that's saying then that you don't live fully embodied all the time, that you make choices, wait to let it out, and then you keep it.
That's correct. And I wish I didn't have to do that, but I think some bad things might happen if I kept it so, yeah, I do keep a lid on it quite a bit.